Today I'm coming to you from Hong Kong, which has been a very popular offshore jurisdiction for a very long time. But on the surface, it doesn't seem to quite make sense why Hong Kong is so popular. After all, their headline corporate tax rate is nowhere near 0%. In fact, it is 16.5%. So why is it that Hong Kong is such a popular jurisdiction? And is it still something that you should consider? Obviously, we all know the things that are happening with China. There's a lot of tension there. Well, now that I'm here exploring the city, both from a living standpoint, what I consider it as a base, but also from the business standpoint, I've been researching a lot about Hong Kong company setups, banking, everything like that. I wanted to give my take on the 5 reasons why Hong Kong is and remains to be one of the most popular offshore jurisdictions and why you should potentially consider it. Obviously, no solution is right for everyone. So after watching this, you can find the reasons why Hong Kong might be right for you, but there's also going to be a lot of reasons why it might not be. So it always depends, and you should always do research for your specific situation. And obviously, I am not a tax advisor or anything like that. So before you do anything, you should speak to an actual professional. So the first reason is the offshore exemption. Now, while Hong Kong has a corporate tax rate of 16.5%, and by the way, even that 16.5% only kicks in after the first couple of $100,000 of profit. So first it's around 8% and then it goes up to that 16.5%. However, the crucial thing for Hong Kong companies is that unless you run the company from Hong Kong, you don't actually have to pay these tax rates because they have what is called an offshore exemption. So Hong Kong has what is called a territorial tax system, meaning that they only tax profits and income that is earned within Hong Kong. So foreign income is actually not taxed in Hong Kong. And this is the primary reason why for folks like us who sort of live around the world have generally used Hong Kong companies, because Hong Kong will not tax the company unless you actually live and run that company and you have operations in Hong Kong. Now, the way it works is that you sort of apply for it and then you're sort of provisionally approved when you apply, but then you still need to keep accounts. You still should do everything that you would normally do in a business, like expense things and things like that, in case it's for some reason declined. Now, if you do things properly, you work with a proper professional, it's not going to be declined, but that's just something to understand about that. Is that it is a process to get it and they will look into you, and you need to actually genuinely not have any operations in Hong Kong. So you shouldn't have any employees in Hong Kong. You shouldn't personally live in Hong Kong and things like that. So Hong Kong companies are really optimal in case you don't want to live in Hong Kong, you want to live around the world because of this offshore exemption. So if you want to set up a Hong Kong company, the setup process can be extremely easy, but the sort of maintenance of the company is the difficult part. Getting banking, doing the offshore exemption application properly, that is a difficult part. So if you want to set up a Hong Kong company, you can check out Awesome, who are my contact, in the first link down below in the description. What they will do is not only set up your company for you, but also make sure that it stays fully compliant throughout the lifetime of your business. Essentially, you don't even have to be in Hong Kong. You can be wherever you are. You just apply for it, you pay for their service, and there is zero paperwork on your part. They essentially handle everything for you, and they get you everything that your Hong Kong company needs, because there's certain requirements. I covered this in a previous video. You need a local address, you need a local secretary, a local representative. So they deal with all of that. They help you through the process. They do the accounting, because by the way, every Hong Kong company needs to have audited financials every single year. So if you want to set up a Hong Kong company, highly recommend you use Awesome services in the first link down below in the description. And if you use that link and my code, you can get 16% off on all of their packages. Now, the tax is one thing. Obviously, there's many different company types around the world where you could get zero tax. You could set up a company in Cayman Islands or something like that. So what are the other reasons why Hong Kong is so popular? Well, the second reason is the reputation of Hong Kong. Now, this is a very underrated thing that not many people setting up companies really consider. When you do business with people, and let's say they need to send you money, people will look at where your company is registered to determine whether they essentially trust you. Maybe it shouldn't work this way, but in certain industries, it definitely does. So let's say you have a company set up in Nigeria or the Cayman Islands or something like that. People are going to think twice about sending you money, about working with you, because they're like, hold on, what is this weird company structure that I've never seen before? The benefit of Hong Kong is that everyone pretty much knows that Hong Kong is a financial center around the world. There's so many legitimate businesses out there and really big businesses that are in Hong Kong. So people are not going to think twice about working with a Hong Kong company. Now, maybe this matters to you, maybe it doesn't matter to you based on the industry you're in, based on the type of business you're in. Again, everything depends on your specific situation, but that is a very underrated benefit of these more tier 1 jurisdictions like UAE, Hong Kong, Singapore, US that you might really want to consider. The third reason is banking and financial infrastructure. So again, Hong Kong is one of the bigger financial centers around around the world. So you're going to have access to some pretty great banking. You have the best payment processing available. However, in recent years, it has become more difficult to get proper banking for a Hong Kong company, especially if you're running it as a non-resident. Again, which is why you should work with an agent like Awesome, who has direct connections to banks, and they can essentially ensure that you definitely do get banking for your Hong Kong company. Because in my research, this is something that I found a lot of people had been struggling with actually getting banking. Now, if you're a smaller business, there shouldn't be any issues. You're most likely going to start with one of the EMIs, like the fintech banks, who are essentially like a software layer on top of banks. Those you shouldn't have any issues with. But with these real banks, if you get them, it's going to be world-class, really good banking. But just understand that it might take time. It might be a bit more difficult to get them to work with you. Now, reason number 4 is that it's just very easy to set up a Hong Kong company. There's still many countries where you have a lot of bureaucracy. You might have to file this and that form and everything like that. With a Hong Kong company, it's a very simple and streamlined process. You can have the company set up pretty quickly. But again, it's easy to set up, but it's more onerous to maintain. Now, it's not a big deal or anything like that if you just have a professional, an accountant, a good accountant who is working with you. But with a Hong Kong company, you're not going to have any issues in the setup process, especially again, if you use an agent to do it for you. And reason number 5 is rule of law. Now, this is going to be a bit controversial. I know that a lot of people are going to be worried about, oh, this China, like they're encroaching on the freedoms in Hong Kong. And I understand that in certain areas, they are doing that. But in terms of like, if you look at this practically, at least from what I know, in terms of what it's doing to businesses, like are business laws changing? I'm not really seeing that much in that regard. Now, the thing about Hong Kong is that because they used to be a British colony, their legal system is based on the British common law legal system. They have an independent judiciary. They still have British judges in their Supreme Courts. And because it's been such a popular business jurisdiction, like it pretty much lives off of business for such a long time, Hong Kong is used to dealing with businesses, with business dispute, like all of the things that you would need as a business owner. So if there's disputes, things like that, you know that there's going to be a robust legal system that you can turn on, that you cannot say in a lot of other countries that perhaps aren't as mature. Hong Kong is a very mature jurisdiction, which especially again, if you're running a bigger, more serious business, that's going to be very beneficial. So those are some of the reasons that I found why Hong Kong is and remains to be such a popular jurisdiction. And if you want to understand the full process of how to set up a Hong Kong company, what does the process actually look like, then you can watch this video right here. So watch that video next, and I will see you on the next one.